It is a great day to be an Australian. Thomas Sewell was just arrested outside of the Magistrates Court for attacking Indigenous people on August 31st, and it's absolutely fitting. That kind of Nazi shit is not welcome here in Australia. You fuck around, you'll get arrested. He caused a lot of harm, division, and stress to just the normal general public. We Australians, we love our diversity. It's what makes us stronger. We're a nation of immigrants. If you're not Indigenous, you're an immigrant. And we all belong here. None of this white supremacist shit. I'm just so proud to be an Australian. Like, we act fast. None of this beating around the bush. Anyway, fingers crossed, it sticks and he goes away for a long, long time, or he's deported back to New Zealand. I'm sorry, New Zealand, but you're going to have to take care of this trash.
Stay back!
Please leave! Please leave!
I'm under arrest, but this is what happens in the tyranny of Victoria. I'm under arrest. Hey Jacob, call the lawyer.
Watch your back, Stokes. Traffic behind you.
This is what happens in the tyranny of Victoria. You're under arrest for defending yourself. Sure.
Trams. Not get hit by a vehicle.
Okay, I was joking before about parents being siblings and lobotomy patient, but now I don't know anymore if that is so far-fetched. You attacked.
Before attacking our First Nations people.
Straight! You attacked Camp Sovereignty. Uninstigated.
Expelled from the CBD.
And how?
Neo-Nazis charged toward Camp Sovereignty.
Jesus.
In a swarm of...
You were the predator. You attacked. You hurt people. The evidence is everywhere.
Black, they snatched flags, damaged property, and ganged up to assault young Indigenous women.
Leave her alone with the you're doing! Stay back!
All of them rallying behind a self-proclaimed white nationalist.
Look at him, how proud he is. Look at him.
The Aboriginal community at Camp Sovereignty didn't do it. You ran up to them.
Expelled from the CBD.
And how?
Neo-Nazis charged toward Camp Sovereignty.
You threw hands with their women. You attacked their flag. Thomas, you're not innocent.
Behind a self-proclaimed white nationalist.
They're screaming on the megaphone, get off her, get off her. They stormed us. It was a war front.
Thomas Sewell is a notorious neo-Nazi who hours earlier was gifted.
I think this guy's genuinely like having a manic delusional episode or something, or are Nazis and white supremacists genuinely this out of touch? Thomas, you didn't defend nothing, you instigated.
Did the stage on the steps of State Parliament, addressing, then leading a crowd of thousands in a so-called March for Australia, protesting immigration before attacking our First Nations people.
This whole protest that you helped to arrange you weren't defending anything. It was a Nazi white supremacy movement. It was exposed everywhere. No one attacked, you started it.
Is it racist, huh? What the is this? This is our reality.
That's an act of terrorism that happened here yesterday. Those people were terrified.
It just goes to show the level of ignorance that we're dealing with. Our Aboriginal people have been here for 65,000 years.
Okay, so one more TikTok today about Thomas. One of the leaders at the March for Australia, aka the Nazi protest. Another thing about his video where he claims innocence is that I want everyone to remember, and let me know if you think I'm onto something here. So did you see some of the news journalism's covering it that was saying that the Free Palestine protest was an anti-protest, something like that, a counter-protest? No, in Melbourne they always protest on Sundays. They didn't, you invaded on their Sundays. It was well known. What was it, 96 weeks so far, every Sunday? It seems to me that they may have allegedly planned this whole thing for the 31st of August so that way they could hide under that. They had it intentionally in their heads that they were the ones that were going to crash the Free Palestine little movement protest. I believe that this timing was done completely on purpose. And everyone in the Free Palestine protest that went, thank you for standing up for Australia, because that's what you did. In Australia, we don't support Nazis. We fought against them, the Anzacs, including Aboriginal Anzacs that fought with us. The Free Palestine protest was not a counter-protest, but you know what they did? They become unpaid military personnel and told them where Australia stands, and they protected Australia. They did. My opinion. What do you think? Because logically, even the people that did go to protest against them, people are confused. Who was with Free Palestine? Who was the counter this one? They hid under Free Palestine to help them be able to wiggle their way out of it in court, in my opinion. Am I just really tired and that sounds ridiculous and I need to go to bed? What do you think?
So today in Australia, through most of the cities, protests and counter-protests that are occurring at the same time. Why the fuck is that being allowed by the police? But here's the important thing that I wanted to consider. Isn't this like the kind of thing that America or Israel do to people that displease them? Create division and turmoil, create problems. It's like the CIA's handbook of how to destroy an organization from the inside. You break everything, you spread rumors, and you create as much internal division as you can. I have no evidence to suggest this. I haven't even heard anything. It literally is just a thought that popped into my head. That's what these platforms are for, sharing your thoughts with others. Don't want to listen, move on. But I seriously believe there's something fishy about these protests and counter-protests being planned at the same time. I feel as if it was something that the CIA or Mossad would do to a country that was pulling away from their imperialist regime and control. That's what I think. What do you think?
With the trade surplus, with this strong relationship, Australia got hit with a 10% tariff.
We need to stop being friends with America because this is all complete and utter bullshit. We do not ban their beef. They can export as much beef as they want to Australia, provided it is born in America, raised in America, and slaughtered in America. They can import as much as they want. They choose not to. They are all up in arms because they can't purchase cheap beef from countries that have foot and mouth disease and then just export that to Australia and go, oh yeah, it's American beef now. No, and we say, no, that's got foot and mouth disease in that country. You can't bring it into Australia. And that's what they're up in arms about, and that's why they've slapped us with tariffs. They are not friends. They are not allies. We need to tell them to get the fuck out of Pine Gap.
A diplomatic rift has clearly emerged between two unlikely adversaries, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu and Australia's Anthony Albanese, prime ministers of both countries. Thanks to you guys for correcting my pronunciation, damn it.
From the air.
One take. My pronunciation of Albanese, damn it, I messed it up again. All right. What started as policy disagreements between Australia and Israel has exploded into personal attacks. And we're going to discuss the analysis. I'm going to give the analysis, obviously. I've been doing this for 800 plus videos. Why am I still struggling? Israel's Prime Minister appears frustrated that Australia has exercised its right to decide its own policy positions rather than blindly deferring to the Israeli stance on everything. Earlier this month, hundreds of thousands, by some reports, of Australians flooded Sydney. Crikey! They filled their famous Sydney Harbour Bridge to call upon Australia to take action against Israel for crimes against humanity in Gaza. Do something, for God's sake, to our government. Basically, they were directing their complaints. Do something other than help the state that is the aggressor, please. Now, likely connected to that demonstration by a huge swathe of the Australian citizenry, connected, last week what happened was Australia made a historic decision to recognize Palestine's statehood at an upcoming UN General Assembly meeting, September, joining France, UK and Canada in making this move, pledging to recognize Palestine next month. Potentially some other Western countries will join them. Now, Netanyahu's response was swift and brutal. He said, quote, "History will remember Albanese for what he is, a weak politician who betrayed Israel and abandoned Australia's Jews." Who talked about Jews? But Australia isn't of the culture to quietly, politely hear something ridiculous, something they disagree with, and stay silent. Have you met Australians? I can think of a few choice words that I won't share, which I think many Australians might have for Netanyahu. Australia hit back hard. Home Affairs Minister of Australia, Tony Burke, fired back saying strength isn't measured, quote, by how many people you can blow up or how many children you can leave hungry, end quote. Ooh, it's a low blow. Or is it? It's just a straight blow. The low blow is what Israel is doing, one could argue. Anyway, the diplomatic spat, the back and forth now, the pokes escalated when Australia banned Israeli far-right politician Simcha Rothman from entering the country. And Israel immediately retaliated by revoking visas for Australian diplomats to the Palestinian Authority. So just to clarify, the Palestinian Authority is in the West Bank. What even the Western countries say one day will be a Palestinian state, right? But because Israel, say it with me, occupies the West Bank, literally, that's the facts on the ground. Because they occupy the West Bank, they're trying even more. They're trying annexation, which means take full control, de facto control ideally, de jure control ideally, but they haven't really pulled the trigger on that yet. So they occupy the West Bank. So Australian diplomats to negotiate or to engage in any capacity diplomatically with the Palestinian Authority have to go through Israel's bureaucratic imbroglio, Israel's bureaucratic mechanism. And so Israel said, we're going to stop you from talking to the Palestinian Authority completely. Netanyahu even said Hamas has praised the decision made by Albanese to recognize a Palestinian state. So Netanyahu's framing is, wow, look at you guys, you agree with Hamas, so you must be on the side of evil, right? Otherwise the evil guys wouldn't be cheering for your decision. But further investigation by some news outlets, such as Al Jazeera, known for their quality journalism and, generally speaking, reliable objectivity, their journalism, their investigations show that the Hamas official that Netanyahu claimed made those statements praising Australia, turns out Hamas denied their guy making those statements. They say, our guy didn't say that. Where is the guy? Factually now, not what Israel says, what Hamas says. Factually, where is the guy? He's in an Israeli jail. He's in jail. So Israel said, a Hamas official praised Albanese, but the man they said made the praise is in Israeli custody, and is confirmed by Al Jazeera and other news outlets. That man has not had access to media to make statements like this on Hamas's behalf. He can barely contact his own family members reliably. And Hamas deny making any such statements from their group about Australia or any decision Albanese has made. So Israel basically started trashing Australia because they've decided, we're going to pick a foreign policy position that aligns with our citizenry and our state's priorities. We're not going to just blindly pick whatever Israel wants. And Israel got upset and started insulting them further. And Australia started pushing back. They're not taking it lying down. Some could say they're not making it Albanese on the Israelis. They're really struggling, the Israeli state, because globally the narrative has shifted, and for millions of people, the veil has been lifted. Yes, I'm a poet and I don't even know it. The veil's been lifted, and the facts look a long way off from the picture that the Israeli state has spent decades painting. Their grand narrative is so far off the reality on the ground, and it's very, very hard to convince people who can bust out their phones and look at what's happening, and then Israel saying something else. It's very hard for the Israeli state to fight with their narrative when literally hundreds of organizations across the globe have said we can make a confirmed statement that what these guys are saying, hasbara, propaganda, lies, okay? It's completely different on the ground. It's very hard for them to fight. The hasbara is not working on the people as well as it did before the advent of social media, before the advent of the internet. So it's more like has bye-bye now. Can't believe I wrote that joke. Oh, you can tell I'm a dad. These dad jokes are unprecedented. Now, this unprecedented public feud between traditional allies Australia and Israel revealed just how impactful these last 2 years have been for the geopolitics of the world. For 2 years, Gaza has been going through a crisis. But in the heat of that hardship and struggle and crisis, in the heat, so much of the Western world's geopolitical framing and positioning with regards to Israel and Palestine, it's being reforged like a weapon being melted down and remade in a blacksmith? A smith? Smithery? Smith? For the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one. God, I really need to work on those analogies.
And now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
On August 31st, the Nazis stormed an indigenous sacred camp, and Thomas Sewell right here was seen punching people. A woman was actually attacked as well. So when you have violent, aggressive people coming from foreign countries, they should be arrested and deported, right? He's an immigrant. He's from New Zealand, and he's causing so much division and hatred. Deport these racist scum. Get them out of Australia. Send him back. We have to protect Australia. We have to keep violent people like him out of the country. Let the rules apply to everyone. He's inciting violence. He's attacking people. Women were harmed. He needs to go. Get him out.
A motherfucker, a motherfucker, 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 a motherfucker, 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 a motherfucker, 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 mother.
Take my child to the playground, Sam, and every single other child at the playground is speaking a foreign language to their parents. My child is the only child at the playground that's speaking English.
What a racist motherfucker. Thomas, the dollar store Hitler wannabe, who think shouting racism in 2025 will make Australia ease. Spoiler alert, Australia was never yours or your ancestors to begin with. Thomas Sewell and his stupid cohort were in the city the other day, parading and protesting like it's the second coming of Captain Cook, forgetting that Captain Cook came into Australia uninvited in the first place. Let's get the record straight. Unless you are an indigenous Australian, you are an immigrant. Period. Full stop. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander did ask Yao to come. They didn't send an invite and definitely didn't order an Uber boat. And yet, you white people showed up, committed mass genocide, stole the land, and now in 2025, Thomas and the rest of the other white people have the nerve to say Australia belongs to us. The only thing that belongs to you, Thomas, is your outdated Wi-Fi router because your ideas are slower than a dial-up internet. Thomas is out here talking like his racism is a new release, while in reality it's more expired than a carton of milk left in the sun. This man is basically a lost white South African child, still traumatized that his ancestors couldn't hold the stolen land back home, and thinking he can bring the same nonsense to Australia. So sorry Thomas, Australia is not your sandbox, and ignorance is not a cultural export. Let's be real, the Indians, the Asians, the Africans in Australia, they can trace their lineage back to proud civilizations, languages and legacies thousands of years old. Meanwhile, a lot of you white folks are just a descendant of the boat people who arrived in Australia after decimating indigenous communities. And yet, you got the gall to scream, "We built this place." Please, you didn't even build a decent argument. Thomas buddy, if you spent enough time reading the room as you spend reading your dusty books, you realize Australia is not a little stage for your outdated play. You just look like you're auditioning for the world's most irrelevant races. And let's be crystal clear here, you all scream and shout like you are tough, but everybody knows if this was to escalate beyond words, you can't even last a second. All it takes is to pull the plug on the power grid and suddenly Yao will be crying in the dark, struggling with your nebulizers, and Yao will be calling Jesus because your Wi-Fi is cut out. A lot of you white people can't survive 5 hours without electricity, but you think you're ready for a fight. Who the fuck is kidding you? Oh please, you'll be fooled faster than a cheap lawn chair at a barbecue party. At the end of the day, Thomas and any organism like him needs to hear this. You're not revolutionary, you're not special, and you're certainly not welcome. You are just an embarrassing reminder that some people are still stuck in 1800, while the rest of us are in 2025. Thriving, multicultural, and living happy, and leaving you behind in your own ignorance. This man thinks he's important, but honestly, he couldn't even win an argument with Google. Can you imagine thinking you are the main character when really you are the racist side notes nobody asked for? If white tears could generate power, Thomas would be Australia's main electricity provider. The protests were just laughable. It's like bringing a stale sandwich to a gourmet picnic. Nobody invited you, nobody needed you, and nobody cares about your Nazi cosplay. Anyways, you know what to do. Follow for more, like, comment, share, or don't. Bye, motherfucker.
You were taught that explorers discovered Australia and New Zealand and everything was swell. But here's what really happened. When European colonisers arrived, they encountered vibrant, complex, thriving cultures that had been there for thousands of years. Aboriginal Australians had lived sustainably for 60,000 years, mastering intricate knowledge of ecosystems, language and traditions. Similarly, the Maori had built sophisticated societies and had explored the vast Pacific Ocean long before European settlers had ever arrived. But what happened when they did was devastating. In Australia, the British arrived and declared it terra nullius, which means empty land, completely ignoring the Aboriginal people's presence. This legal fiction was used to justify violent displacement of the Aboriginal people throughout Australia, resulting in brutal frontier conflicts, massacres, and the mass spread of European diseases. Later, Aboriginal children were taken from their families in the 1900s and the 1970s, what's now known infamously as the Stolen Generations. Authorities justified these removals under legal frameworks, saying it was what was best for those children. Children perceived to be of mixed heritage were particularly targeted, removed forcibly by the police or welfare agents, and put into white families, leaving Aboriginal families powerless, creating profound trauma and huge cultural displacement. Across the Tasman Sea, New Zealand was initially set on a different path, with the Treaty of Waitangi in 1840, designed to protect the Maori and give them rights and protections. However, colonial authorities quickly broke their word. Extensive Maori lands were systematically seized through war, unjust legislation, and through coercion. The resulting conflicts, known as the New Zealand Wars, saw extensive Maori resistance, but it eventually ended in massive land losses and socio-economic devastation for the Maori people. These events were deliberate actions taken to suppress indigenous sovereignty and to strip away their culture. And today, both of these nations are grappling with these painful legacies. In New Zealand, treaty settlements seek to rectify past injustices by returning land, resources, and financial compensation. Australia, meanwhile, is still navigating the complex path to reconciliation, including ongoing debates about constitutional recognition, treaty settlements, and meaningful reparations. Indigenous Australians and Maori communities continue to fight fiercely to protect their sovereignty, their culture, and their way of life, reminding the world that colonial impacts aren't distant history. They still shape our modern world.